Hey everyone, how's it going? I am Xeracon and I am back once again. I apologize for the lack of content last week. Things have been slightly hectic. I'm working on a video for Manafin in addition to a couple other topics, but that one in particular is taking quite a bit of work. As a mild spoiler, I don't think it's something that I can recommend, though I will show you the process if you want to try it for yourself. Today I want to give my thoughts on the Steam Deck since I've had it for about several weeks. This isn't a review per se, but just my thoughts on it so far and how I feel about it going forward. Sorry for the gorilla video quality, but I wanted to show what it looks like when you're actually using the Steam Deck. But without further ado, let's get into it. For the hardware itself, it's very pleasing. The deck is lighter than it looks, so you won't be uncomfortable when you're holding it and playing games for hours. It weighs more than the Nintendo Switch, but from what I remember, it weighs less than the Wii U gamepad, which I had no problem with using. And while I was skeptical with the layout design, particularly with the symmetrical joysticks, overall it works well. Monster Hunter Rise is the only game where I have a bit of an issue. Maybe it's muscle memory, but I don't like having to move left instead of down to move the right joystick for the camera, especially when I'm in the middle of a fight with a difficult monster. The right trackpad does work as a joystick, and is positioned where I would expect it to be, but I don't care for it here. Moving the camera takes multiple scrolls instead of one single push to where I want the camera to go. If I practice with it, I might be able to get good with it, but as it stands, I don't like it. The good news is that this is the only game where I've felt this way, and it's probably because Monster Hunter doesn't have a continuous lock-on like other games. One other gripe I have, though not as serious, is with the triggers. It's not something I noticed at first, but after playing on my Xbox controller, I realized that the Steam Deck triggers have less resistance. It's not a game breaker, but it would feel much better to me if it had more resistance when I use them. As far as the fan goes, it's noticeable when it ramps up, but to me, it's not too distracting. It might bother some people more than others, so this is completely subjective, and your miles will definitely vary. The battery life is okay to me. I haven't checked to see how long it lasts, but it's not like I'm playing 7 hours straight on the deck, so it lasts as long as I need it to. Granted, I haven't played anything too demanding on it like Sekiro or the PS3 emulator, so that might change once I get into it. Now, as far as the layout goes regarding the Steam gaming mode, I like it. It's pretty easy to navigate around your Steam library, the settings, and the Steam store. One complaint I do have though is that occasionally, certain website links in Steam will require you to use the touchscreen instead of the joysticks, which I hate. I really want to avoid touching my screen as much as possible because I hate smears and smudges. But otherwise, it's a good experience. I heavily recommend playing Aperture Desk Job, because it serves as a tutorial for how the deck works, and it wasn't until I played it that I learned how to take screenshots. It's the Steam button plus R1 by the way. Desktop mode was basic but familiar. If you've used KDE Plasma on a Linux distro, you'll be right at home here. For any non-Linux users, it'll take a bit of getting used to, but the general experience is similar to what you experienced on Windows or, to a lesser degree, Mac OS. The biggest hurdle I experienced with the Steam Deck though was using the mouse and keyboard on desktop mode, at least initially. You use the trackpads for navigating the cursor and keys, but you also have to press down on them to click, so slight movements caused me to shift to another key as I pressed it, or click on something else differently. Thank goodness for the Steam forums though. After looking through the basic system settings trying to configure the controls, I learned that you actually have to go into Steam, not Steam Gaming Mode, and configure the controls like you would a controller on a desktop. I mapped the right and left clicks to the triggers, and everything went smoothly after that. Moving on to playing the games, my experience has been good so far. The games haven't been particularly demanding, the most demanding one being Monster Hunter Rise, but I haven't experienced any major stuttering or dips. The only drop I've seen is Eiyuden Chronicle Rising with the first boss. The frame rate drops to 55 FPS at that one spot. It hasn't happened anywhere else, so it is odd. Other games that I've played so far have been Killer 7, Framed Collection, Batman Arkham City, Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate, Vampire Survivors, Aperture Desk Job, and Monster Hunter Rise, as of course I've mentioned before. I have other games that I've downloaded that I want to try, so there is a robust variety of games to play and try out. Additionally, Eiyuden Chronicle Rising is the first game so far that I've played from start to finish on the deck. It's also a game I haven't played on my main PC. Similarly, I haven't played Arkham City on my main PC yet either. And while I'm on the topic, Arkham City is not a verified game for the Steam Deck, but I've played it so far and it runs well. I was curious about playing the game because you can play it on Linux, yet it's reported as unsupported. Again, the Steam forums are your friend. When I started the game initially, it booted up, but there was no image. Then I checked the forums and saw that someone said that you have to first set the game to windowed mode when you're asked to configure before running the game. After I set it to run in windowed mode, the game worked as it should. I'll have to see how things go further on, but so far, things are going well. So my recommendation is to take the verification listing with a grain of salt. For example, games that have anti-cheat like Dragon Ball FighterZ and Halo Master Chief Collection are unsupported, but that's only for online gameplay. If you want to play the offline modes, you can do that. Now, I'm not saying that all games will work, but I would suggest using ProtonDB as a baseline. It has a list of games that have been tested to work on Linux and the various degrees of functionality. That's what I've been looking to as a reference. Sure, you will have to experiment and see if a game really works or not, but there are probably more games that you can play than the deck verification listing tells you. Emulation is something I'm still getting around to working on. I've got a Game Boy Advance emulator up and running, and while it's not the one that I was looking for, it's getting the job done, so no complaints there. I'll try other ones soon. I hope that newer ones like Ryujinx and RPCS3 won't be too complicated. We'll see though. If I could change one thing about the deck, I would probably have the dock be included with it. I think that since this is a PC at the end of the day, you should be able to have the ability to use it with a monitor and any other peripherals out of the box. Heck, for the price that Valve is charging for the dock, it should have been included. But I do at least appreciate that you can buy any dock, so you can buy a cheaper third-party one if you want to. But overall, I'm very satisfied with the Steam Deck. It's a nice little handheld PC where I can game and do anything else I want to that I could on a desktop or laptop. I have my gripes, but those are a drop in the bucket compared to the things I like about it. This is something that I hope Valve continues to work with in the future, extending beyond this model and into newer ones. I also hope that this continues to spur other companies to make handheld gaming PCs because they might do something that improves this idea. But that will do it for today. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video, I appreciate it. As I mentioned in my last video, there's a Steam wallet code in the description as a thanks for all your support. And thank you for your comments and suggestions. I'll try to get to everything ASAP. So until next time everyone, I am iamxeracon signing off. Have a good one.